Welcome back. I'm here with my daughter, Trinity Celeste, a singer-songwriter and fine artist, to discuss how our mental health can be impacted by art and music. Now, Trinity, the book Your Brain on Art by Susan Megsamen and Ivy Ross asks the foundational question, what is art? Now, it talks about aesthetic awareness. Art is all around us in architecture, nature, and design. What has your experience been?
Hmm. Well, what is art? It's probably 100 billion definitions on what it is. When I got this question, I actually looked up a couple of definitions and I wanted to read this one from Oxford Languages, which I really liked. And it said, the art is the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty and emotional power. And
Mm.
I thought, notice how it doesn't say for the purpose of being useful.
Right. Right.
Art is not
Yeah.
always a hammer meant to build something. It can simply be for being, and that can also be helpful
Right.
in by proxy through that channel.
Well, it's
So
interesting, and we're
yeah,
talking about the mental health aspect of that and how art can be helpful.
yeah,
So, the second question in the book is your brain on our ass is what is the physiological effect that art has on us? And we know that it can increase or decrease our blood pressure,
yeah,
and that's mainly on a subconscious level. But as the book explains, it's talking about how with that we try to bring this aesthetic awareness from the subconscious level to the conscious level, and artists tend to have this natural ability to automatically do that where the rest of us have to actually think about it more. So neuroscience tells us that only 5% of our mental activity is actually conscious. So
yeah.
when we allow that to come forward, it impacts everything around us and our mental health. And it says, have you ever received comments or anything like that on your art or music that aligns with this type of thinking?
Was like how it affects us
Yeah.
psychologically or physiologically.
Well, mentally, emotionally, and
Well, I've definitely had people who have listened to some of my art, my music, and been like brought to tears.
yeah.
Even when that's the thing is that I remember I wrote and released a song, and
Mhm.
for me I was just like, yeah, sounds good. And then someone else listened to it, and they're like in tears because it
Wow.
touched them so deeply, and I was like, okay, awesome. Didn't know that was gonna happen because I didn't even it didn't even hit me that way. So it's really cool how it can have that
And I
effect
think
on
that's the
people.
beauty of art too, right? It doesn't hit everybody the same way. And yet it can have this and like impact. A study at Drexel University found that people can lower their levels of stress hormone cortisol
Yeah,
by spending just 45 minutes making art.
yeah,
But the biggest thing about this was you didn't have to be actually artistically skilled like
no,
yourself in order to receive that wonderful
yeah.
impact. And what are your thoughts on these findings? Have you any examples or people that have been impacted or art classes or personal experiences? I think you
Of
had a
how it's like calming.
yeah, like I think you had an experience of a
Yeah, I
friend
had
in the
one
hospital
of
or
my friends
something.
who's in the hospital, and she had a really hard time.
Mhm.
It was just, really difficult mentally to be in in a hospital, not
Yeah.
really a hopeful situation.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then she got these cards from like a nearby church that was just giving them into the hospital, and it was just a picture of a flower on one side, and then on the other side was just a poem. The poem was like 4 or 5 lines,
Yeah.
but she told me she said these got me through being in the hospital, and
And
I
that's
was kind of
something.
like, okay, that's really powerful, even though it
It
seems like
is
really
powerful.
small.
It seems like a simple thing,
Yeah,
and yet it was something that really mattered and made a difference to
yeah.
our mental health
Was
being in the hospital.
the difference between hope and not hope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's really
hope and
cool.
hopeless.
Now the book also talks about how many studies in the past few decades show that making art is in a judgment-free environment can
Yeah.
also improve your immune functions, your cardiovascular reactivity, and your
Mhm.
psychological state, as we talked about. And in 2020, a study at the University of College London found that those who attend cultural events, which we've done,
Yeah,
just once a year,
yeah,
that helped made their mental lowered their mental distress and improved their quality of life. I
yeah.
mean, what are your thoughts on this?
I thought that is incredible that it's one time a year because that
Just
is
what I like
not
that
much.
is that for
That's
sure.
one time a year. That's
And the
crazy.
other thing is it didn't matter what your social economic situation was either.
Yeah. I think it can be I think it's really cool because I think also art can get us outside of ourselves.
Hmm.
Human beings, we get really locked in our own thoughts, and I think even going to an exhibition that's about somebody else can be really helpful. But I think that in-person aspect is really helpful because you can view art on your
Yeah.
phone. I'm really passionate about in-person events, like actually physically going to a physical place to see something like a play, It can also be like a play, a movie, an art exhibition, a
Right.
band, a live
Yeah.
band. Like live things are really having a bigger impact these days, and I'm really passionate about that. So it's
Oh, I
cool.
love it. Yes. All right. Next, we'll dive into how art and music also impacts our physiological and biological health. So stay with us.